Hello, everyone. Welcome to Back to Basics. I am Miss Makini, and today we're going to talk a little bit about door opening safety, but we're going to really talk a lot about your phone, how to call someone, how to answer the phone, and at the end, we'll talk a little bit about some phone safety. We will also do a role play with someone that is near and dear to my heart to show you how it should sound when you're on the phone in a conversation. But first, I'm going to ask you a question. What is a phone? And what is its use for? Well, some people play their games on their phones. Some people send texts on their phones. Some people call on the phone. But what were phones built for in the beginning? Well, phones, and this is an old phone. Oh my goodness, look at this old phone. This phone was meant strictly to call someone on the other end and have a conversation. Whether the conversation was about an emergency or the conversation was about, I just want to talk to you, how you doing? Or if it was about a girlfriend and boyfriend on the phone talking to each other, that's what originally the phones were for. But of course now, our phones are for so many different things. Our phones are for Facebook Live. Our phones are for chatting. We text. Our phones are for also calling people and communicating with folks. So today, as I said, we're going to talk a lot about phones. So let's just get started. I wanted to show you all some old phones that we had. Oh my goodness. Here we go. This is an old cell phone, one of the first old cell phones we had. Here's another one that we had. It was hard to text on these phones. Oh my goodness. And then this was like a flip phone, everybody. How do you like that? Oh my. So, let's just talk a little bit about, with that, what our phones are all about. I can, with my phone, talk to anybody, anywhere, at any time that they receive the phone call from me. For example, my oldest granddaughter lives in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and I can call Nwazi whenever I want to, and she can hear me, and we talk and have a good conversation. Who do you talk to on your phone when you get on the phone? Well, how we keep in touch with a friend, how we keep in touch with family, keeps us all healthy, wealthy, and safe. It really does. So right now, let's just get right to it. First thing I'm going to ask you is, how do you talk to friends on the phone? How do you get in touch with your friends? Do you text them? That's okay. Or do you call them? And that's good. You can call them on the phone, but the first thing you have to do, number one thing, is get their phone number. Oh, yes, you do. You have to get their number. So once you get that number, ask someone, if you don't know how, to help you put them in the contacts, in your phone's contacts. So when they call, their name will pop up. Their face will be, if you put a picture on there, their face will even pop up, and you'll know that that's them, and you can pick it up and just get that conversation started. So that's number one. So you decide, hey, I want to talk to Tamia. And Tamia is who's going to come on here in just a minute. Tamia. So I might say, let me call Tamia. I have her phone number in my phone. So I would call, or if you wanted to call Tamia, you would call and say, when she picked up the phone, you would say, hey, how are you doing? This is Grammy. Or if I were calling a good friend of mine, if I were calling Miss Andy, for example, I would say, hey, Andy, this is Makini. Even though she knows it's me, it's always good to identify yourself. And so if Andy and I are talking about work things, we would get right to the point, have that conversation. At the end, we say, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. But if you're doing like a phone visit with a friend, you might start out by saying, hi, this is Erin. May I speak to Eric? Eric might get on the phone and you would say, hi, Eric, how are you doing? But then what happens after that? Do you just sit there just waiting and waiting and waiting for someone else to say something and say nothing? No, 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 no. Let's talk about what you might talk about. Think about before you call your friend what you want to say. Have you all just been at a party? Have you all just been at a sporting event? Did you watch a sporting event? Have you been to church? Have you been to synagogue? Have you been somewhere together that you just want to kind of remember all of those things? Think about something that you all have in common that will drive that conversation. And remember, conversation is back and forth, back and forth. For example, you might say, "Hey Eric, how about that Cardinals game last night?" Or, "I had some of your aunt's cookies the other day. They were so good. How's your aunt doing?" Or, "I heard you went on vacation. Where did you all go?" Remember, always ask someone something about themselves or about something that's going on in their life. When you both are finished, when you finally talked it all out, you can end up by saying, "Hey, great talking to you," or you can just say bye or see you later, or come up with some kind of, fancy closing. If it's a good friend, you might say see you, check you, whatever. Or if it's a family, and especially if it's your grandma or your grandpa or somebody, you might say, "All right, grandmother, all right, grandpa, I'll talk to you later. All right, bye-bye." Okay, and that would be it. Always remember when you're on the phone, be kind and be engaging when you're talking to someone, no matter who that person is. Well, right now, I'm going to ask Tamia to come over, and we're just going to do a little bitty role playing, a real quick conversation. This is Tamia. Tamia is my granddaughter. So Tamia, let's pretend I'm going to call you on the phone on our old-fashioned cell phones, and we're just going to talk. So we'll go ring, 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 ring.
Hello?
Hi, Tamia. This is Grammy. How are you today?
Good, thanks, Grammy. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's school going?
School is going good. I'm learning lots of I'm learning about a lot of different things. I'm processing a lot of good information.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm really glad. Well, I was just checking in, doing my daily check-in, so I just wanted to say, hey, I love you, and you take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon. Don't forget you can call me whenever you want to.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, baby. Talk to you soon.
Goodbye, Grammy.
Bye-bye, Tamia.
Bye.
That was real quick and to the point, That was me and my grandbaby. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. All right. So that was very quick and to the point, but your conversations can be so long. I know girlfriend and boyfriends, you know what they do. They talk long and long and long and long on the phone. So that may be how you make a conversation. But what happens when the phone rings? Hello? And you have to answer it. So let's talk a little bit about now how to answer the phone. So the phone rings, ring, 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 ring. Do you pick up the phone and say, "Yo, who this?" Or do you pick it up, ring, ring, and you say, "Hey, how you?" Or do you answer the phone like this? "Hello, this is, how can I help you?" The third way would be the best way. And you don't even have to identify yourself. In fact, most times it's probably better to just say, "Hello, how can I help you?" If you recognize who is on the phone, you can continue to have your conversation. But if you don't recognize who is on the phone and you have answered the phone, then you want to stop, get as much information as quickly as you can, and then move on. That is how you answer the phone. You always want to have a pleasant voice, pleasant as you can. You want to always have pleasant demeanor when you're talking to someone that is on the other end of the line. Now let's talk a little bit about some safety on the phone. And that's whether you're calling somebody or someone is calling you. First thing I want to say is if when the phone rings and you answer it and it isn't someone that you know, Answer with a pleasant voice and ask, is there something that I can do to help you? If it is someone trying to get information from you about where you live, number one, do not give them that information. Never give anyone your address. If they ask to speak to your parents and your parents are not at home, simply say, my mom, my dad can't come to the phone right now. May I take a message? If you don't feel comfortable taking a message, tell the person on the other end, I'll hang up now. You can call back and let the phone ring until it goes to voicemail, and you can leave a message for them there. If your parents have told you they don't want to talk on the phone, please don't tell anyone, oh, my mother's sitting right here and she just said she didn't want to talk to you right now. So don't do that either. So make sure, again, back to keeping a pleasant demeanor and everything, just do it like that. Never give out where you work. If someone asks, well, where do you work? Don't give out where you go to school. Don't give out where your parents work. Don't give anyone over the phone any numbers, no social security number, no address number, no phone numbers of anyone else. If someone calls and say, for example, they call and they say, may I speak to Julie? And you know that Julie doesn't live here, and you say, I'm so sorry, you have the wrong number. And they might say, well, what number did I call? Well, what will you say? You will say, I'm sorry, you have the wrong number. And you can hang up from there because you're not going to give them your phone number. Number 7 on my list of my top few ones is if you decide to video chat. Now we know everybody's phone, their smartphones, you can do Google Live, you can do so many different things. You can do FaceTime with iPhones and all of that. If you do a video chat with some of your friends, which is fun, if anyone does something that you feel is inappropriate or you feel uncomfortable with, just get off the line, and that's okay. And tell a trusted adult. If you text or you get an inappropriate text, take it to a trusted adult. That can be a parent, that can be a teacher, that can be a coach, that can be someone that you feel is in doing something in your best interest. Lastly but not leastly, and I know there's so very many more, but these are kind of the top ones. Do not send a video or a text that you would not want your parents, or better still, your grandparents to see. Do not show a text to anyone that you would not want to show to your parents or your grandparents. You all know what's appropriate and you all know what is inappropriate. If it is inappropriate, you know what to do with it. You take it to a trusted adult. Talking on the phone, FaceTiming, video chatting, all of that is great fun. It's a great way, especially now when we're all not going out and doing sports and hanging out in the mall and hanging out in restaurants and stuff. This is a great way to keep in touch. It keeps our hearts open. It keeps our minds and our spirits open to everyone around us. It makes us just feel fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it, but we have to practice. So make sure that you get somebody's phone number if you don't. And this week, take time out and give them a call. Practice a few of these. When this is done, you know it'll be on the DSA's, oh my gosh, I just blanked on it. It'll be on the DSA's YouTube page. So please go there, run it back, work on it back and forth, and then call somebody and just have a little conversation. It'll make you feel super duper good, so good just to hear or just to see another human being. So that's all I want to say about phones right now. The next part that we're going to talk about is answering the door. Now, this is the way I feel about answering the door. Okay? Talk to your parents. Talk to, if you're an adult and you're living in an apartment by yourself, you get a plan together and you deal with that plan. If you're still living at home, talk to your parents. When is it appropriate for you to answer the door and when not to answer the door? Again, you will never, if you're within your parents and your family's rules and regulations, if they say, oh yeah, you can answer the door. If someone says, is your mother home? Again, never tell anyone if your parents are at home or not at home. But as far as answering the door, that is something that I think you talk to your parents about, and you all set up the rules and the regulations that go along with that. I can tell you this, someone is knocking on the door and there is someone, a trusted adult that is there, parent, older brother, older sister or something, you talk to them and you all deal with it from there. But again, no matter what, never tell anyone that your parents are not at home. Whether they're at the door and you have permission to answer it, or whether they're on the phone and you are answering the phone. Just make sure that you are keeping yourself safe. And that's what all of this is about. A lot of these rules and regulations, they're a lot about safety. We don't want to get in a situation where we're in an emergency because we've said something that maybe we should have thought a couple of things about. So with all of that, I just want to say thank you all so very much for tuning in to Back to Basics today. And tune in with us again next Monday. Next Monday, it'll be Miss Andy's turn. And I think she's got a good surprise going on for you guys next week. Take care. Thank you guys. Bye.